Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest on the thunderstorms that we're seeing across parts of northern and eastern areas at the moment, as we're finally seeing a proper end to the hot and humid conditions that have prevailed for the last few weeks. We're seeing a big line of rain, line of thunderstorms moving through, a cold front sweeping through at the moment. Still very hot in the south and east this afternoon, those thunderstorms bringing much cooler conditions further north and westwards. So we'll have a look at the latest from the live radar. We'll run through the weather warnings, as we do have yellow warnings still issued in the north and the east. I thought there was a chance we could see an amber warning issued, but it's looking likely now that it will just be yellow warnings. We'll have a look at the top temperatures observed in the south and the east. We'll have a look at some of the short-range charts as well to see the supercapital thunderstorms through this evening. And then we'll have a look at the longer range, look at the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the ensembles to see what is in store for the end of June and start of July, as things are looking cooler and more unsettled. So do remember, if you enjoy videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. To start on the live radar, you can see there is quite a lot of activity at the moment in the north. I'm recording this around 3:30, so we're just about starting to reach peak thunderstorm activity, which is expected around sort of the 4 till 6 p.m. point. Again, we've got some thunderstorm cells breaking out ahead of the main cold front, now heading offshore, and then along the main cold front we're going to see the biggest thunderstorms developing through parts of northern England, Yorkshire, northeast England, as this cold front engages with that hot and humid air. Already seeing some big cells here. With a cold front with a lot of instability around, there is the risk of some large hail, and there have been shouts about the potential for supercells and some rotation, the risk of some tornadoes, things like that. Again, I'm not an expert on that, so do have a little bit of research if you are interested in that. There is a low chance, we are in the UK, the chance of anything too severe is generally quite low, but a little bit enhanced today with this cold front, and we'll just have to see how lively this does get through this evening. You can see through parts of northern England and the Republic of Ireland, we do have some thunderstorm cells breaking out as well, more disorganised here, but again you can see banding slightly, but not quite as sustained as they will be across parts of northern England. Further southwards and eastwards, got much drier conditions and very hot conditions. We put on those temperatures. It is baking in parts of East Midlands into East Anglia and ahead of the cold front in northeast England. It's really here where we're seeing this collision of the very hot, humid air and the low pressure system and cold front is where we see the biggest initiation of storms. So yeah, here we're seeing big heat still, but it will be swept away overnight tonight, and by tomorrow all areas will be in fresher air. And you can see the big division at the moment, very hot and humid across parts of northern Europe, and then across parts of western and northwestern British Isles, much cooler, and that is going to start to prevail. Now, if you look at the weather warnings at the moment, you can see we do got a yellow warning for thunderstorms through parts of Northern Ireland from 2 p.m. today until 7 p.m. Again, it's for those pop-up storms we're seeing at the moment. Heavy showers and thunderstorms are expected to develop across Northern Ireland on Sunday afternoon, move east through the course of the day. High likelihood, lower end of the impact. Heavier showers expected to be across the east, where a few places may see 20 millimetres in an hour. Could be 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts as well. So again, nothing too severe, but still the risk of some disruption. And then we've got this warning for parts of eastern England, northeast England, up towards northeastern Scotland as well, expiring at 9 p.m. this evening. High impact, low likelihood. Thunderstorms will develop in some places from early afternoon as cool conditions follow from the west. There is a chance that an organised line of thunderstorms could develop across northern Britain during Sunday afternoon before clearing east into the North Sea. And that's that line convection. If we go back to the live radar, you can see this live line convection squall feature starting to form here, just across into sort of the Manchester area. This organised region is where we could see the most severe thunderstorms develop as this progresses northward and eastwards. So that's why Met Office have highlighted the risk of an organised line. Again, we could see 30 to 40 millimetres in a couple of hours. Frequent lightning, large hail, strong gusty winds will be additional hazards. I have to keep a very close eye on this. You can see the thunderstorms at the moment through just heading into Manchester aren't actually in the thunderstorm warning zone yet. So the worst conditions are still yet to come and still yet to really develop. So it's going to be very close eye on this over the next 1 or 2 hours as we do, as I said, reach the peak development for this system around 4 to 6 p.m. Now, of course, not only thunderstorms, we've got very hot conditions, and the latest top temperatures are around 30 to 31 degrees widely through central, southern, and eastern England. And you can see a whole array of different stations getting these temperatures, getting these 30 plus degree temperatures. Again, these are not all the stations, these are just the ones that NetWeather have access to, so there probably are some stations within this as well. So we'll have to see officially what the Met Office say was the hottest temperature of today. But it'll really be around that 31 degree mark. Maybe could see a 32 in some spots, but at the moment looking likely to be a 31. So pretty much what the models were showing. They were showing around 31, 32 yesterday and the day before. A couple showed a 33, but I think because of the wind getting up a little bit, a bit more cloud developing, has held that temperature back by a degree or so. But it's still very hot and humid, and the feel-like temperature out there is a lot hotter than that. We can actually go back to the live radar and put on the feel-like temperature from this. Again, it's not 100% accurate, but it will show you that across parts of eastern areas, feel like temperature is getting up towards the mid-30s. Anything that's red is showing feel like temperature is above what the actual temperature is. Blue is below that. So you can see the feel like temperature here is above what the thermometer temperature is, and quite considerably in parts of East Anglia. So again, feel like temperature reaching the mid-30s in some of these regions because of the humidity. But equally, that humidity is fueling the storms further northwards. I think that's one of the biggest things with this hot spell, this plume of very hot air that we have coming up at the moment. It is very humid, again contributing to the storms and making it feel really oppressive out there. Now, if you run through the next few days with the precipitation and the temperature, we can see the thunderstorms developing through this evening, peaking, as I said, around that 4 or 5 p.m. point. Again, I think the UKV is a little bit progressive here with the positioning. Again, it's showing the main line of storms heading towards northeast coast at 3 p.m. And looking at the live radar at 3 p.m, it's nowhere near here. It's 100 miles further westwards. So about an hour or two ahead the UKV is. That's pretty poor performance from the 3 o'clock run. Again, it got the preliminary storms breaking out ahead of the cold front, correct, but it's sweeping through that cold front very quickly and nowhere near as intense as we are seeing on the live radar. So UKV downplaying a little bit. Again, we'll have to see what happens over the coming hours, but very interesting seeing that the UKV is not predicting it to be that intense, but we're looking at reality, and it is very intense at the moment, already through parts of Manchester, where we're not seeing much really here in the space of unorganised line. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens in the next few hours, but UKV downplaying it a little bit. As we head into tomorrow, it's going to be a more pleasant day for all, with those temperatures dropping down towards the mid to low 20s. Showers in places, they shouldn't be too heavy with a fresher air mass. Into Tuesday, could see a more persistent band of rain moving in, but look at that, only greens and some small areas of yellows developing, so light to moderate rainfall. Most no real signs of anything too heavy. So yes, larger area of rain, but it's good rain that will water the gardens and help out wildlife, fill up the reservoirs as well. So it's that sort of light to moderate persistent rain that we do need to make sure that we have enough water. So that will be moving through Tuesday, mostly in northern regions, but should affect most areas at some point through Tuesday. Could see a bit of heavy rain on its back edge through early hours of Wednesday, but that should sweep through. And through most of Wednesday, just be sunshine and showers. And then finally into Thursday, another day of sunshine and showers. Could still see a bit of heavy rain lingering in the far southeast as that system eventually does swing through. So you can see much more changeable this upcoming week. There will be drier spells, but equally there will be some unsettled, wetter spells as well. And the big thing is the upper air temperatures will generally be cooler. You can see there is some warm air wafting in at times. That could temporarily increase the temperatures, but it's not sustained. Therefore, really at the surface, we're not expecting much above 25 degrees. Now, you can see this afternoon UKV was showing 31 or 32, so pretty much accurate for what we're seeing in reality. But look to tomorrow's afternoon temperatures, peaking maybe 24 or 25 in the London region, and most areas high teens, low 20s, and much fresher conditions. Into Tuesday, again, much fresher conditions widely, mid to high teens, maybe touching 20 or 21. So nowhere near as warm as it's been recently, and almost getting a little bit below average here. As we head through to Wednesday, again, Warming up a little bit in the east, 24 to 25 at most areas, again high teens, low 20s, and finally into Thursday, another day of high teens, low 20s. So much more pleasant conditions, still warm to get out there, enjoy the sunshine when it does appear, but it's nowhere near as oppressive as it has been recently. Now, if you just go over to Meteo Seal, just have a look at the latest thunderstorm risk through this afternoon, see what that is showing. You see the Cape peaking around the 4 or 5 p.m. point around that northeast region, Yorkshire into northeast England, and parts of Aberdeenshire across Scotland. That's when Cape peaks, and that's where we could see the most severe thunderstorms, before it does dissipate away quite quickly around 7 or 8 p.m. So, not expecting major thunderstorms to really continue after that, but most likely the area of light convection does sweep out into the North Sea. If you look at the precipitation, by around 3 p.m, WRF is a lot more accurate than the UKV is, with the positioning of the main line convection and cold front more towards sort of northwest England, and you can see the preliminary thunderstorms that we are seeing on the live radar through northeast England. So WRF looks pretty accurate, and look at that activity take off around that 4 or 5 p.m. point into a big mass of thunderstorms developing there. Again, we're very difficult to say exactly where we see the most severe conditions, but anywhere in this northern England region, especially towards the coast where it really could activate. You can see some dark oranges just off the shore. Yeah, it could be some severe conditions. It could be one of those we do see thunderstorms inland, but the most severe thunderstorms do carry on out into sea. So it could be a bit of a light show this evening. Again, depends on how quickly it does move through. But if those thunderstorms still kicking off just off the coast around 9-10 p.m, there could be some very interesting views out into the North Sea this evening if you are in the area. So yeah, have to keep a very close eye on this evening. But if you are in those regions and you don't know the thunderstorms are on their way, they are, and it's going to be pretty severe in places this evening. But luckily, it should sweep through. Should be an organised line, so it shouldn't last more than a couple of hours at max, and even then the couple of hours will include light to moderate rain in between cells and sort of either side as well. So hopefully it isn't too bad, but temporarily it could be pretty severe in some regions. Now, if you focus now on the longer range, as things are changing up as we head into this working week, again you can see low pressures rumbling in off the Atlantic, and it's going to go pretty unsettled into this upcoming week. Low pressure is going to be more centred to our north and west, therefore it does mean that southwards and eastwards it will be drier, but it won't be completely dry as we saw in the UKV, and as we progress beyond that we'll continue to see low pressure move closer and closer by, and look at that, low pressure is more centred over the top of us come early July. It is beyond 10 days, so things are very uncertain with that, but we are seeing a bit of consistent signal of low pressure more in control here, before high pressure could make more of an appearance right in the extended range. But the wind direction is coming in off the North Sea, so it wouldn't be anything too hot at this stage. Be back in sort of the mid-20s with that. But you can see when that low pressure sweeps through, you've got hot air in its eastern wing, that's just powering it, but some quite cold air there, filtering to Iceland, the -5 isotherm, that's incredibly cold, look at that. 10 degrees below average into Iceland, and some generally pretty chilly conditions moving in. Again, it won't be cold in the sort of the actual surface conditions, but it'll be much cooler than average, and some regions may struggle into mid to low teens if this did come off. So a much more unsettled pattern and much cooler. And you can see the accumulated precipitation right at the extended range of this run. Lots of pinks and purples indicating rainfall reaching perhaps triple digits in some regions. So a good 3 or 4 inches of rain likely in many areas. So pretty much making up for the dry spell that we've had recently if we did see this sort of wet conditions. So yeah, some people will enjoy this, others won't, especially as July is the month where schools start to break up and things like that. Hopefully we do see something good for that. Hopefully summer hasn't exhausted itself through June. Now, I'm pretty hopeful that we will see hotter weather return or dry conditions widely return, but it's not looking likely in the next week or two. If you look at the GEM, low pressure moving back in over the coming days, but staying out to the north and west, and eventually low pressure dominating at day 10. A very interesting pattern here. We'd be watching this very closely if we were in the winter, with a blocking area of high pressure towards Greenland, low pressure sweeping across, and this would make floodgates open to northerly winds and very cold conditions in the winter. But for the UK, it would just generally be below average during early July. So still very similar to the GFS, generally cooler than average with unsettled conditions If we compare to the ECMWF, again, low pressure rumbling off the Atlantic, generally very unsettled, and all the way to day 10, very similar to the GEM, pretty much a carbon copy with low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, high pressure up towards Greenland, upper air temperatures. Nothing spectacular, but could be a little bit warmer on the leading edge of the low pressure system, but still plenty of cool air sweeping in. Now, if you compare to the ensembles, you can see this well reflected, very warm at the moment, dropping down. Then perhaps could see briefly warm sector of air, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, and then generally we're average, slightly below, slightly above, as we head into early July, with pretty high precipitation as well. Temperatures generally down to the low 20s in London, and further north and westward you go, closer to low pressure systems, closer to the cooler Atlantic air, more toward the mid to high teens. Sea level pressure is dropping, generally around to 1,010 millibars, and again that's London, which is furthest away from the low pressure centres, and the dew points are nothing too crazy. Still some humid periods of air, but that is more associated with weather fronts, so temporarily be a little bit more muggy, but the temperatures, the actual surface temperatures won't be all too warm, so it won't be too bad, but generally won't be as oppressive as it's been recently. And just compared to the ECMWF, again, very warm at the moment, and then generally dropping to around average, slightly above, slightly below, as we do head into early July. So pretty much carbon copy of the GFS, and precipitation really picking up into the final days of June, with it continuing all the way through July. No massive deluges, but there will be frequent showers, and perhaps longer spells of light to moderate rain as well at times. So we'll have to see what happens over the next few weeks, but definitely a change is coming. No more of the hot, humid, and thundery weather we have had for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Changes are coming back to average, or maybe even below average temperatures, with generally unsettled conditions returning. Now, the hot and humid weather wasn't going to last forever. We were going to see a change. If we were going to continue this hot and humid spell, we would be on for breaking records for the heat in June. Some have been comparing the summer so far to 1976, was a ridiculously hot summer, record-breaking summer that. With this cooler spell, unsettled spell coming, it means we're going to be nowhere near those records, or not going to be hitting them at least. Still could be in the top 10, top 5 potentially, depending on how things go. But definitely this cool spell is going to take a little bit of an edge off the summer so far. But as I said, we'll have to see what happens over the coming weeks. Hope you have enjoyed the warm, hot weather if you do enjoy that sort of weather. But if you don't, then things are looking a little bit cooler and less oppressive in the coming days and coming weeks. So anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you stay safe for the rest of today with all the heat around still and the thunderstorms in the north. And hopefully you enjoy a bit of a change into tomorrow. And of course, I'll see you again for another video soon.